Have you ever listened to someone speak for 5 minutes and realized they said absolutely nothing? Not because they were quiet, not because they were nervous, but because every sentence was just noise arranged to sound like a point. We live in a world where people treat intelligence like a trophy you win by using big words or memorizing facts. But in real life, cognitive ability shows up in something much less glamorous. It shows up in the tiny, everyday mental habits that most people don't even notice. And that's why these signs are so overlooked. Because they don't look like stupidity in a movie. They look like normal conversation, normal confidence, normal opinions, until you've spent 2 hours arguing with someone and you suddenly realize you were never in a discussion, you were trapped in a loop. Today, I'm going to break down 7 overlooked indicators of low intelligence that most people ignore, so you can recognize the patterns faster, protect your energy, and stop expecting depth from a mind that isn't built for it. And as you listen, don't just think about other people. Watch for these patterns in yourself too, because intelligence isn't a label, it's a practice. Let's start with the first one. 1. They answer questions they were never asked. This is one of the clearest signs of weak processing. You ask a simple question, and instead of responding to what you actually said, they respond to the version of your question that exists inside their head. You say, "What evidence makes you believe that?" They hear, "Why are you attacking me?" You say, "Can you explain what you mean?" They hear, "You're wrong." This isn't just poor communication, it's a cognitive shortcut. Because accurately tracking what another person is saying requires mental effort, attention, working memory, and flexibility. A lower capacity mind often can't hold your actual point long enough to examine it, so it replaces it with something easier, usually something emotional, defensive, or familiar. And once they're arguing with their own imagined version of you, there's no way to reach them because you're not even in the conversation anymore. Which leads directly into the second indicator. 2. They use slogans as if they're arguments. Pay attention to how some people think. They don't build ideas, they recite them. They speak in ready-made phrases, catchy lines, internet quotes, political one-liners, motivational cliches, and they deliver them like a final verdict. These are called thought-terminating cliches for a reason, because the purpose isn't to explore reality. The purpose is to shut down thinking. If you challenge the slogan, they don't clarify it, they just repeat it louder or switch to a different slogan. It's mental outsourcing. Instead of doing the difficult work of reasoning, they borrow pre-packaged conclusions that feel true because they've heard them 1,000 times. And when you build your worldview out of slogans, you don't need intelligence, you just need a good memory for lines. Now here's where it gets more revealing. 3. They can't think in probabilities, only certainties. One of the most subtle forms of low intelligence is the inability to handle maybe. A stronger mind naturally thinks in ranges and likelihoods. This is possible, this is probable, I'm not sure yet. Let's see what would change my mind. A weaker mind needs everything to be 100% certain immediately. And if they can't get certainty from evidence, they create it with confidence. This is why you'll hear people speak in absolute language about complex topics they couldn't possibly fully understand. They don't say, "I think this is the most likely explanation." They say, "This is exactly what's happening." Because uncertainty feels like danger to them. But reality is probabilistic. Life is messy, people are complicated, outcomes have multiple causes. So if someone's mind can't tolerate uncertainty, they don't become clear, they become wrong, just with a straight face. And this next one is where you really start seeing the difference between knowledge and intelligence. 4. They confuse familiarity with truth. There's a psychological effect where repeated information starts to feel more true simply because it's familiar. You hear a claim 10 times from 10 different people, and your brain starts relaxing around it. Not because you verified it, because you've heard it before. Now, an intelligent mind actively fights this. It asks, where did this come from? Is it backed by evidence? Could this be popular and still false?
A lower intelligent mind does the opposite. It treats repetition like proof. That's why some people become nearly impossible to reason with once an idea has been fed to them consistently, especially through social media, group chats, or a friend group that repeats the same narratives. Their brain isn't checking accuracy, it's checking comfort. And comfort is not the same thing as truth. Now, before we go to number 5, I want you to pause and think about someone in your life who drains you mentally. Not because they disagree with you, but because it feels like they don't even understand what disagreement is. If you know exactly what I mean, type yes in the comments. Not to prove anything to anyone, just to mark the pattern in your own mind. Because once you can name what you're seeing, it stops controlling you. Now, let's get to the 5th indicator.
They can't accurately summarize the opposing view. This is a brutal test. Ask someone to explain the other side's argument in a way the other side would agree with. A high-quality mind can do it even when they disagree. They can say, here's what you believe, and here's why it makes sense from your perspective. A lower quality mind can't. They'll immediately create a straw man, an oversimplified, weaker version of the opposing view because it's easier to defeat. Not only does this make them exhausting to talk to, it exposes something deeper. They aren't interested in truth, they're interested in winning, and winning is easiest when you replace complexity with a cartoon. If someone consistently cannot represent another perspective accurately, they are revealing a lack of cognitive empathy and weak mental modeling. And without mental modeling, there is no real thinking, only reaction, which connects to indicator number 6. They treat exceptions as proof that patterns don't exist. This one hides in plain sight. You explain a general pattern, and they respond with one exception as if it destroys the entire idea. You say, smoking increases health risks. They say, my uncle smoked every day and lived to 95. You say, sleep affects focus. They say, I pulled an all-nighter once and did fine. This isn't just annoying, it shows a failure to understand how evidence works. A stronger mind can hold two truths at once. Exceptions exist, patterns still matter. A weaker mind can't, because understanding patterns requires abstraction, the ability to think above individual anecdotes. And if someone is trapped at the level of single stories, they become manipulatable. All you have to do is show them one dramatic example and they'll abandon a mountain of data. That's not skepticism, that's mental fragility. Now here's the final indicator, and it's one of the most important because it affects everything in their life, not just debates. They avoid sustained thinking like it's physical pain. Watch what happens when a topic requires patience, long-term planning, careful reading, listening without interrupting, working through confusion. A higher functioning mind doesn't always enjoy it, but it can tolerate the discomfort of not knowing yet. A lower functioning mind panics. It needs instant conclusions, quick entertainment, quick emotional release. So it constantly escapes into distraction, sarcasm, changing the subject, or turning everything into a joke. Not because humor is bad, but because depth feels threatening. And here's the part most people miss. This isn't just about attention span. It's about the willingness to do cognitive work without immediate reward. Because real thinking is often boring at the beginning. Understanding something takes time, and if a person can't sit inside that slow process, they don't develop insight, they collect opinions, and opinions are cheap. Now, after hearing all 7, let's be very clear about what this video is not saying. This is not permission to walk around labeling people. It's not about superiority, because intelligence is not a moral virtue. Plenty of intelligent people are arrogant. Plenty of less intelligent people are kind. This is about something more practical, your peace of mind. If you keep expecting nuance from someone who thinks in slogans, if you keep expecting probability thinking from someone addicted to certainty, if you keep expecting honest debate from someone who can't even summarize what you said, you will burn your own nervous system trying to drag depth out of a shallow container. And the moment you truly understand that, you stop taking certain conversations personally. You stop arguing with loops. You stop trying to finally make them get it. And you start using a quieter form of intelligence. You choose where your attention goes. You choose what deserves your explanation. You choose when to speak and when to walk away without needing the last word. If this helped you see people more clearly and protect your energy more intelligently, subscribe. because the more you understand human behavior, the less it controls you.